Nice to see everybody. We're going to start in a minute here as we let a few more people join us, but you are in the right place. This is the California, let's see, I always mess up the name of this group. California Green Ribbon Network, statewide network. And so you're in the right place if that's where you wanted to be. In a minute, we're going to start. If you wouldn't mind, as we're all getting situated here, by putting your name and your institution, organization, district, school, your role, and if you're a past, present, or just starting applicant. So if you're new, or if you've applied, or if you've already gotten, you already like kind of graduated and been one of our green achievers, go ahead and put that in there too. So name, organization, and role, and where you are in the application cycle. And we'll get started in just a minute here. Put that in the chat for us, please, and we'll kind of meet each other that way. The agenda is also in the chat right now if you'd like to grab that. So make sure it's in there again.
Hello.
Hello. All right. You just joined us. Please put your name, organization, role, and what part of the application you're starting at. If you just started applying this year, if you've been applying for a few years, or if you've graduated from the program but still coming back to, refresh your memory of some of the great things that the Green Ribbon can provide. Put that in the chat right now so we can meet each other that way. And we're going to get started right now.
Hi, George. Awesome to see you.
Nice to see you too, Devin. Great. All right. So again, as I mentioned earlier, this is the Cali Green Ribbon Schools Network statewide meeting. I'm George Garcia. I am the program lead for the California Green Ribbon Schools Award and the nomination for the federal award, the U.S. Department of Education's Green Ribbon Schools Award. And we're going to get started in just a moment here by breaking into breakout rooms, but I'd like to go ahead and give us our topic. So today we're going to break out. We're going to have a great program afterwards about board members and board meeting and board policy, and how it can be a catalyst for green change in your districts and schools. And then we'll have another breakout. We're going to reflect on what we had just heard. We have some great speakers today, and I'm excited to get started. So without any more delay, today's my kind of warm up or introduction to each other is going to be a topic of the teams that you work with. So if you wouldn't mind, who's on your application team? Let's talk about who they are. If you're a team of one, that's great. Not advisable. It's a lot of work to do by yourself, but who's on your team? Who are the superstars that bring all their skills and passion and creativity to your work? And if there's anyone special on your group that really helps to push that forward and really work, I've had applicants in the past that are working very diligently with local utilities and different entities that are community-based organizations. If those people are someone you'd like to talk about in your discussions, it's a great place to expand. So again, you're going to see the question here in the chat, and in just a moment here, Paulina, would you go ahead and put them into breakouts, and I'll let you guys meet each other.
All right. Breakout rooms are open.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Wasn't enough time.
It never is, and that's the problem. That's why I always think I need to do a big welcome to everyone. Really, I should just say, okay, everybody go to breakouts, because that's really where the magic is. And we had someone get cut off, but just to kind of round about what I heard in that quick conversation. People are at different places, and you're in the right place today to get information and meet others that are doing the same thing. You're not alone. You're doing a lot of great stuff. And some of the teams, we had one team that had 40 members. And I know there's some people on this call going 40 members. It's hard enough to get four. So it can be a challenge to get started, but once it's going, you build it and things will start to grow. So thank you all for being here. And I'm going to pass it over to Andrew, who's going to take over the program.
Great. Well, hi, folks. So nice to see so many familiar faces, but also new faces too. I'm Andrea Goyen. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at 10 Strands and supporting George with running the statewide network. And I also just want to really quickly introduce Paulina, who's a new colleague of mine at 10 Strands. Paulina, you want to come off mute and say hi to folks?
Hi, everybody. I'm Paulina Goncharova. I just started at 10 Strands at the end of October, and I'm the Partnerships Program Specialist, and I'm going to be supporting this group. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. Well, we're excited about this topic of policy and the green ribbon. And this came up, there was just like a question that was posed quite a few months back now, but somebody said, you know, is there some sort of correlation or some sort of connection between green ribbon and school board policy? And good news is we have a data project. So we are working on the analysis part of whether or not there's a correlation, but we at least know that there is definitely some sort of anecdotal connection right now because we've got quite a few stories from the field that people have shared about the role that policy has played both in their green ribbon work, but also just in like institutionalizing green ribbon type action through policy. So that's really going to be the focus of today. And we thought that would be a nice thing to do now that green ribbon applications have been submitted and people are kind of like, okay, I can breathe. And now it's like, all right, maybe what's next, right? And so what I'm hoping people kind of think through in this presentation today is that you can definitely use policy to catalyze green ribbon, but you can also use policy to institutionalize the work of the green ribbon, right? And you'll hear from our guests later, you'll hear how they've done both. And so I'm going to do a little bit of the framing before our guest speakers start and just kind of show a couple different slides just so that people are completely introduced to both of these topics before we get into too much of the storytelling. So here we go. I'm assuming that most people know what green ribbon is because they're here, but you never know. There might be some folks who are a little bit more new to it. So just a reminder that the Green Ribbon program is a recognition and award program. It really incentivizes whole systems transformational change. And I just have this image here that we've been using a lot just to kind of bring it to life, this idea that we're hoping to see campuses that truly have that, like that green schoolyard. They've got solar panels. They're doing interactive learning that has to do with the environment. You know, they've got zero waste bins here. They've got a little EV charger. So rain barrel, like they've got all these like symbols of doing this work. And of course, like I said, the students are learning from it as a campus, as a laboratory for learning. That's like the heart of what we're hoping for with the green ribbon. And the green ribbon application, which many of you just submitted, we heard of people saying that in their breakout rooms, like, I'm so glad we got it in. You know, it really captures where you are in your journey and this like one moment in time. And for some folks, they might be really early in their kind of buy-in and emerging efforts. Some of you are more at that scaling systemic implementation. Either way, we believe that there is a use of policy at any stage that you might be at. For folks that are still, again, kind of newer to this, just a reminder that there are different application tiers in California's Green Ribbon program. We're super lucky to have it organized in this way. So thank you to the CDE for doing it that way and giving people a chance to like work their way up through achievement. Now, if for folks that might have only worked on a piece of green ribbon, this is a reminder that green ribbon is that whole systems change. It's really looking at a ton of different stuff. So energy, water, waste, outdoors, food systems, but it's also looking at curriculum, and it's also having you think about like college and career pathways and a lot of the health aspects as well. So there's just a ton of stuff in this green ribbon application. And a lot of these things actually have the connection to policy. Like there are specific templates for energy policy, water policy, waste policy, food policy. So I just wanted people to see that there are things that are out there that are specific topics that can have this connection to policy. if you're here because you're like, that was like a lot to do the application, we didn't quite get it over the finish line and I need more resources, I just want to make sure people know that there are green ribbon resources that you can access. We can throw some of these links into the chat box, but just know that there are tons of resources. We've shared this before on the website, but you can grab them from the slide deck once I share it as well. Okay, so that's green ribbon. Let me just quickly preview school board policy action. Some of you may have been school board members, or you might be super familiar with the school board because you present to the board all the time. Like, I know I have done board presentations over the year, but I still was not super like clear on the difference between board policy actions until we ran this statewide youth leadership program focused on policy. And it really helped me clarify, oh, there's these different type of actions, and specific to green ribbon, they can all have different outcomes to help with green ribbon type actions. So I'll just preview this here to make sure people have the language, but school board resolutions are these formal expressions of a school board's position. It's sort of like their intention. A lot of people see school board resolutions as fairly symbolic, even though depending on how mild, medium, or spicy they are, they can move past just symbolism and can really hold a district accountable. School board policies, or BPs, these are formal documents that really establish like the policy as the rule that is going to be the new governance for that school district. So if you set a policy in place that says we are going to do energy decarbonization, you're really saying this is like the rule that we're now going to follow. Now, the real key one here is administrative regulations, and this is how you really move into implementation with policy. You can always implement without an administrative regulation, but this really holds the feet to the fire in terms of saying, like, here's the exact steps we're going to take to implement the policy or resolution that we have passed. So you'll hear later from our guest speakers, you'll hear them talk about different types of policies that they have passed and how they helped move things along or help to institutionalize the work. Some folks might already be familiar with this, but if you're not, I just wanted to share that there are a number of templated environmental related policies from the California School Board Association. And we have a ton of resources that I'll show you on the next slide to be able to access these. But there is actually quite a lot out there if people don't have policy passed yet and they're looking to get some policy started. So again, I'll put the resource links here from that you can find all these different policies and see some of these templates. And there's even resources in here for the stuff that's not templated. Like, there's not really a resolution template saying that you want to take environmental and climate action. So we have created resolution templates for people with language that you can select from. So that stuff, again, these are some great resources that hopefully people will be able to dive into. And then the last thing I just wanted to share before I turn it over to our guest speakers is that we've done some data work, like I said before, that really shows kind of like where might there be an intersection of green ribbon and policy. So I'm showing one image from our data project, which you can actually see a ton more data from here. But basically, the image that I'm showing you has the number of policies passed, and the policies that we're tracking are largely those templated ones, but also we've scraped the web to see customized policies as well. So this tells us how many policies a school district has passed. And if there's a dot here, then it's also telling us whether or not they have done green ribbon. If it's a blue dot saying not applicable, it's because it's a school and not a district. So any individual school that's a public school doesn't have its own board, right? The district has it. So what we're saying here is like, hey, this is a school from one specific district, but it's not a district level green ribbon achievement. It's just a school green ribbon achievement. The other ones are showing you district awards based on what they achieved. So this green one here, they have 6 policies passed, and they have quite a few of their schools as well have also done green ribbon. And you've got some folks over here that might be like, okay, they've achieved bronze, and they've got about 5% of the schools in their district have also achieved green ribbon. So hopefully that makes some sense. And again, you can find a ton of this data if you pop out to the website. We have a whole section underneath the indicators for action that's just about green ribbon. So you can explore all that data there if you would like. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
go
want
ahead.
to elevate a question we have in the chat here.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't see it.
You were back a moment ago when you were talking about different board policies and resolutions, etc. The question is, where do LCAP goals fall within those?
That's a great question. So let me put the slide deck in the chat box. So one of our we've had some of the guest speakers who are here today share at a conference last month in Pasadena. One of the guests, Leticia from Cabrillo, she couldn't make it today, but we have her story on video, and she goes into detail about how they went from policy to then moving it into LCAP and moving it into the single school achievement plan. So I'll put the Cabrillo profile into the chat box, and also the video where you can see Leticia talking about that. Matthew and Glow might mention a couple of those things as well, but I know for sure that Cabrillo like moved it into like going there. And largely that was Leticia's story, is about like that happened because of administrative regulations. So it was like the pairing of the policy with the strategic plans of the LCAP and the single school achievement plan that really brought it home for them. Yeah, great question. Okay, well, I've alluded to this amazing panelist, so now let me introduce them very quickly. So today we're going to have Matthew Belasco from Pittsburgh Unified sharing the story of change in Pittsburgh, and then Gloria Harwood from Laguna Beach Unified sharing their story. And just to orient you as to where these folks are in the state, Pittsburgh is right here in Contra Costa County, and this gives a little bit of their demographics, and same over here. And then Laguna Beach is down here in Orange County, and this again provides a little bit of their demographics. And when each of them are going to share their story, and as they do, we'll pop in their promising practice profile, which gives you like the paper version essentially of the details that they're going to be sharing about their green ribbon journey and how policy was leveraged as they did it. Okay. All right, enough from me. Let's get into Matthew and Glow. So Matthew, you came in with a lot of energy earlier. Do you want to go first?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Matt Belasco. I'm the proud Director of Maintenance Operations and Transportation here at Pittsburgh Unified School District. And we've been fortunate enough to receive 3 green ribbons over the past 10 years. We started our journey back in 2016 with our first gold, and then we had a bronze. And then in 2023, we're fortunate enough to have a silver. And, one of the things that we've been able to do utilizing the green ribbon to really carterize our board policies so that they're less individual or person dependent. I could hit the lottery tomorrow and be moving on down the road. I want to ensure that the work and all of the effort and work and things that have happened here stay institutionalized. So the green ribbon has allowed us to put those practices and promising practices, projects, and even goals of what where we're going to move to next. That has allowed us to utilize that as leverage with our board. The question came up about LCAP earlier, and I think that's as we many school districts stare down the upcoming budget reductions. My hope is that these types of very important critical projects don't lose momentum, as they can be perceived as non-direct curricular supporting activities. So it's just really important if you have the ability to be able to put some of these positions or the work that's happening, put those into your LCAP so that they can continue to be supported. The general funds are going to be really taxed over the next few years. So, figuring out ways to get those into your LCAP, or even other creative ways to look at some other programs. One of the funding sources that we use is our ELOP program. We incorporate some of our ELOP, which is Extended Learning Opportunity Program. That's a funding source from after school. And we've been able to utilize some of the funds from from that program to bring in some staff that were interested in working with us on the gold ribbon. So, there's lots of funding sources to ensure that these are able to keep going. But again, the real benefit of the green ribbon for Pittsburgh was being able to gain a lot of support with our board and to get those into board policy so that these are able to continue long into the future.
Matthew, can I pause you for just a second? I saw you on video earlier. Did your video stop working? I just want
Yeah, I had to go off a video. Our network
okay.
is a little unstable right now,
Cool.
and
No
so
worries.
with bandwidth low, I want to make sure I don't get cut off. I froze a couple
Good,
times
good.
earlier.
Good.
So
Thank you. Just
yeah.
double checking. All right.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So that's the practices that we've done in bringing in some of the other departments, such as our Ed Services department. They have so many other priorities, but having the importance of the green ribbon showcased in our board policies really allow us to reach into the Ed Services team and be able to get folks to extract that information. As we all know, anyone who's done an application, it can be arduous. There's a lot that goes into it, but it's just so important for to gather that information. Oftentimes, it's also can be a clearinghouse that really showcases, wow, we're doing a lot of amazing work here. And it allows us to really memorialize that, get those into into a written format that you again can showcase with your community, with your board members, with your cabinet, and also with teachers to hopefully encourage some really really great buy-in. I don't know if I think I saw Devin on there, but he's in a school district not far from us, and is having a bit of a challenging time getting some momentum. So those type of things. There you are. Hey, Devin. Those type of things can having them in board policy can help just generate that momentum. So I'll stop there to give everyone enough time to talk, but open for questions at the end.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. And I'll just reiterate that if you are kind of curious about what some of the policies are that Pittsburgh has passed, you can see up here the little check boxes of the ones that they have passed. And then you can, again, read a little bit more into their story there. Well, thank you, Matthew. And Glo, how about I turn it over to you and have you get going into your story?
Great. And thank you so much. Thanks, Matthew. It's cool to hear your story again, even though we just had this conversation last month, but it's always fun to hear about it again. If you don't mind, I'm going to share, I have our strategic update from April for the board, and really it outlines just our green ribbon goals. Is that okay if I share it? It's very okay, cool.
Do it.
All right. Okay, so hi, I'm Gloria Harwood. I'm the Environmental Literacy Coordinator for Laguna Beach Unified School District. We're a small school in South Orange County, or small school district in South Orange County. And I've been in my position for 2 years. This is my second year. And when I entered this position, it was really niche. And so looking at well, what does environmental literacy and sustainability mean for an entire district, and how do we support on the instructional level the connection with environmental literacy? The first thing I really honed in on was the green ribbon. And so when I applied for the position, essentially I got our board policies. They said review it and then take it from there. And so our board policies were created before I came in. And so then we applied as a school district. And so we have a sample of our board resolution. And then that really led into our framework for our district for instruction, and then what it means to be a graduate of Laguna Beach Unified School District, and then serving the whole child in that connection to our planet. And this is our learner profile. So when every student leaves our school system, they should have those competencies and skills. But really, our goal is just to empower learners and build leadership and sustainability, not just with students, but also with staff as well. In our breakout session, I was discussing who's on our sustainability team. And I just said every staff member is on our sustainability team, because hopefully we're able to reach pockets of classified staff, custodial staff, teachers, parents. Everyone is involved in our sustainability work. And so I'm going to skip over this. So we have our 3 goals for our school district for sustainability. Our overarching goal is that by 2030, on the facility side, by 2030, we're going to be carbon neutral. And then we're also going to have 100% waste diversion through all of our audits. And then also every single class will have some form of a sustainability or an environmental literacy unit for each and every grade, preschool to 12. And so if you look at our sustainability goals, these are essentially the green ribbon pillars. And so that's how we structured it. And our board policy is what is really, our board policies are driving the work that we're doing. And so these are some of our targets. This is more on the facility side. I'm on the instructional side. And so we have our energy targets, our waste and consumption targets, our data transparency and our data dashboard that we're developing. But we're doing a lot of these systems within our departments as adults. What does that mean for students? So our goal is to have these efforts trickle back down into instruction. And so we built that into LCAP. And our board built that into our superintendent goals. And I want to note, we're in a shift and a change of season right now with our district. We're changing our superintendent. And so a lot of colleagues are coming to me like, what's going to happen to our sustainability work that we've been working really hard on for the past 2 years? And we have board policies on it. We have to do this work. It is in our it's in our bylaws. So that's where the institutionalizing sustainability is super important for your district. So these are just some of our targets. And then for health and wellness for pillar 2, one of our big goals is food and nutrition. We are an award-winning school district for locally sourced food and also bringing gardens to cafeterias and lessons. And we are building out a partnership with UCI, University of California, Irvine, on mental health and nature and nature therapy. So bringing that mental health piece in SEL, bringing our counselors, our social workers, our psychologists into the conversation of environmental literacy. And then we're really heavily involved in parent engagement of our policies and using our resources to connect, to translate those skills. For our targets for pillar 3, we have green teams at every single site, and it's also a paid leadership position at each site as well. So these are student advocacy teams that do a lot of the work and waste audits or a lot of those energy lessons that go beyond the classroom. I also provide a lot of professional developments for teachers. Some of them are optional, some of them are built in within our PLC days or our PD days. So we have met 100% of staff members, of certificated staff members, to get some form of building skills in environmental literacy or sustainability in their lessons. And that's CTE from science to ELA. Our high school has a FLOW program. It stands for Fire, Land, Ocean, Water in every single grade. So freshman is fire, sophomore is land, etc. And with that, it's an interdisciplinary project-based curriculum that we've built as a school district. So we're trying to trickle that program in K through 12. And those are just some examples, but again, they're all rooted into the green ribbon, and how we structure our strategic plan is rooted into the green ribbon. And so what's going from here? Like, where's our next step? How do we continue to make sure that we have these metrics analyzed by our peers, analyzed by our teams? Our green ribbon we use it as an audit, and we earned gold last year as a district, but we reapplied this year. We are just going to keep reapplying. And after we earn that green achiever, hopefully one day, we want to trickle it back down into every single school has the opportunity to be gold or a green achiever. We have one elementary school that is a green achiever school. And It did take a village to write the application, but however, it was more just about conversation. We don't work in silos in Laguna. So there were only 2 lead writers of the application. But since there's so much collaborative conversation going on and everyone knows each other's goals and they're all our sustainability goals are intertwined with our LCAP goals, that it's really easy to like pick out, okay, this is what's happening in each element of the pillar. And this is what this teacher's doing. This is what this CTE program is doing that can fit into this element. So you kind of have to be nosy sometimes, but but the conversations were really flowing, and we really value the work that George and Andra do for keeping resources available for the Green Ribbon. And I think that's like a general overview. So sorry if I took too long.
No, definitely not too long, Glow. That was great. And sorry, I was like, thank you, Tim, for getting the slide deck in the chat box. I was just trying to update the agenda with putting that slide deck in as well. So thank you for that. Yeah, let's open it up to see if there are questions from the audience, and then we'll move into a little bit of reflection time. Devin, I think you had a question, right?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How did you pay for all this? Because I mean, like I'm the coordinator of farm to school programs for Santa Ana Unified School District, and a lot of the work kind of is aligned with environmental literacy, and we're trying to get some folks to come in and help us with curriculum design. And that seems to be a big part of the struggle is first like getting that curriculum design, and then second is like implementation. It's really hard. I mean, we're neighbors. I would love to meet. I live in San Juan. Let's do this.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, no, definitely. I think we were on an email thread, and you guys were gonna come visit a few weeks ago. But anyways, that's a great question, because funding is always a topic of conversation when we're talking about professional development, or what resources do we use. How we structure it in Laguna is we see our instructional coaches as like the best professionals we can have to meet the needs of our students. And so we do contract through other different organizations, but really a lot of like our professional development is all led through our either our tech TOSAs or myself. And so our tech TOSAs know all of our sustainability goals. They're well versed in environmental literacy because we've had that collaborative time, because we can take that time. We're not in the classroom. So we have those conversations. And so what we do is with our unit design day, we have a full day where teachers come in, and instead of us bringing in someone and we're paying a company to come teach our teachers, our coaches teach our teachers, and then we pay our teachers to design a sustainability unit. We just did our unit design day in November, and we had, out of 38 lessons or units designed, only 3 were not sustainability or environmental literacy. So it's really like we're showing the emphasis on like, we trust our teachers in design, we trust our coaches in design, but going to sources and researching together. So like Cali was a great resource. 10 Strands, a lot of different state programs, just getting in the conversation and looping your district in is my best advice.
Yeah, that's great. And I just put a couple of other, I put a resource that shows a few other districts that you might want to learn from. And quite a few of them are on this call. LAUSD, Jerry oversees a program where they're doing some of that work. Berkeley Unified has a program. Fremont, who's also, there's some folks here from Fremont Unified. There's other districts that can share that as well. But definitely, since Glow's in your neighborhood, definitely connect with Glow.
Yeah, I'd love to connect even with food stuff. I'm like, my main job is for procurement. So if you need any actually direct farm connects, like I can hook you up for sure. So I'd love to connect. I'll get your info. If I can give you like some email, I'll email you. And I think I already have you're on an email chain, so I'll email you later.
Great. Devin, did you still want to ask your question to Matt?
I do. Yes, please. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question, Matt, is how now that I have a meeting with this coming Friday, tomorrow, with a wellness food Director of Food and Nutrition Services for my district. To
Awesome.
restart, thank you, to restart a wellness committee with the hopes of progressing to a green team with my district. What would you suggest as next steps and like what to talk about at the meeting? But also, I really want to congratulate you again on all of the wonderful work that you and your district has done. And also say congratulations on all of the advertisements that your school district is getting. Every time you pop up on my TV screen and I see those buses, those EV buses, it's like a happy birthday, everything like that. So I just wanted to say congratulations, but then also ask my question.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, they're definitely PG&E's getting their money's worth out of that commercial.
Yes, they are. Okay, so it's PG&E. Got it.
Yes, yes. So, no, but congratulations, number one. I know when we were at the conference, you were really frustrated about
Yes.
hitting some of those walls, but you've got a crack in the wall. So just take that darn sledgehammer and bust it open. Just obviously the pathway you have right now is through the wellness. But
Yes.
that's obviously how many tie-ins there is with environmental stewardship and just the overall health of your scholars in your district. So once you get started there, hey, I'd be willing to come out and talk to the group, just as a whole, and then come and pick you guys up in the electric bus, bring you over and walk you through the Bioswell Learning Center so that you could actually see and they could see the benefits of having the curriculum that we developed with the with the teachers on utilizing the solar and wind farm as a learning opportunity. So there's just so many different things that the district has done that we are more than willing to share. So just let me know what I can do to help. I'll pop over there and we can plan out some times next year to come over for a visit.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Matthew.
Absolutely.
Love that. Well, George, should we shift into some breakout rooms? I've got them set up if you'd like to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should. I think we got a lot to talk about. And if you didn't notice, if you haven't kept up with the chat, I'm trying to keep up myself. I have a list of tabs across my browser, which if you don't yet, you should, because there's a lot of good resources out there. But let's go ahead and talk. And this is a time to do some reflection. Think about what you heard, what questions you have, maybe some goals you've made based on what you've heard, and think of some commitments. We'll come back afterwards and talk about that as a whole group, but let's talk about a small group now. Go ahead and jump into your break room. Okay, well, that was awesome. Just speaking for myself, but I really want to say that the conversations in these breakouts, it's never enough time, but there's just so much happening. I don't know. I want to say that as we reflect and wrap up here today, thank you for joining us. And I hope you met somebody. I hope if you haven't already connected with someone that you do now, and you chat to them or do whatever you need to get emails because we are all stronger together and we aren't doing this alone. So just remember that. And just to bring us back to the reflection piece, I was going to open up the floor to anyone that has a reflection, a question, a goal they're going to make, or a commitment they're going to make from something they heard today. And then also remind you, we have a feedback form. Based on your feedback, it helps us drive our next set of meetings. And we take these suggestions seriously. What worked, what didn't work, and then what topics are you looking to learn more about? So please fill this out. It does directly affect how our programming goes. So again, let's do some reflection, open up the floor. Does anybody like to start anything they want to reflect on before we close up here? Go ahead, Kirk.
Yeah, I was in charge of LA County for the EEI, and I met somebody and talked to somebody from LA Unified School District. You know how hard that is? And he actually listened and I listened, and it was very interesting.
glad to hear that. Thank you. Anyone else? I was a teacher. I can sit and wait.
Yeah, I think Kirk, it was great meeting you, and I think definitely, I think my concern is LAUSD is such a massive district, and I'm just wondering how feasible it's going to be to try to get all the parts together to be able to get this done. But again, thankfully we have a Office of Eco Sustainability that's fairly new, and I'm hoping that working with them, that maybe this is something that we can kind of look into, especially for next year.
And Jerry, you have a 2016 application I can pull for you that can give you a basis for where your district applied years
Oh, really?
back
In 2016,
in
okay.
2016. So,
Oh,
that's
that'd be
also,
great. Yeah,
so I'll make sure to send that to you. I have some more things coming to you.
yeah, that'd be great.
And I'll just share that I had a few folks ask at the last second here, like, where do I find those policy resources again? So I just put it into the chat box so that you can find it there, and then you can also find them in the agenda. Yeah, it was so great connecting with folks today. My reflection is just there's so many more school districts doing this and more people hiring sustainability coordinators. So very excited to hear that.
And I'll just add, George, it's always exciting to hear about the good work happening out in school districts. So thank you to Pittsburgh and Laguna Beach. It's, there's lots of success stories out there, but so often we don't hear them. Nice to see them presented like this. Thank you.
Well, with that, let's wrap it up. Thank you all for taking the afternoon to be with us. This will be recorded. If there's anything you missed or like to look over again, the agenda will also be on a website. If somebody could throw that website into the chat right now, I appreciate it. But there is recordings from the last year of network meetings. We hope to see you in the future. But if you missed the past, it's all been recorded. Go and deep dive into this. It's fun stuff. So lots of good things. And thank you for our presenters and everyone that came today. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays. See you next year.
See you next year.
Bye.